What's up, music family? I received multiple requests to give you a rundown of what I use for my looping gear because it's very unique. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, what's looping? And if you're thinking to yourself, well, what's looping? If you're thinking to yourself, well, what's looping? It's that.
You could be the heart that is true. I can't stand the tear in your face, and the look in your eye makes me feel like I can never face it on the inside. If you ever decided to give up, I don't know.
Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. It's Sam Fowler. Please do 3 things real quick: like, comment, and subscribe. We're growing this channel and we're growing it fast, and it's thanks to you who have joined my family and helped me just kind of get the word out about all the cool things we are doing. Of course, I'm a musician. I release lots of music, got some singles out. I got a cover I dropped last week. And of course, the other big thing that I'm really excited about on this channel is the fact that we are writing an entire album live in front of the camera, fans and artists together. Never been done before. We're making history. We're trying to put ourselves on the map. So if you want to be a part of that project and you got questions, feel free to message me on Instagram, samfowler.music, or just show up Sunday evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel. We'll be writing songs every single Sunday. So I've gotten a request, as I said, to give you guys a little breakdown of what kind of gear I am using for looping. You may have noticed in my music videos, I'm hitting my guitar sounds, and making drum sounds. I've got some beatboxing coming up in my next video. Looping is just a really cool thing. It's been around for a bit, but obviously it's gotten big due to people like Ed Sheeran, who goes into concerts, just him and his guitar. He makes a beat, the beat loops around. He's hitting pedals with his feet, doing harmonies to activate when those loops come in, when they come out. But it's basically just creating a sound bite that you can play and stop whenever you want. So it makes a one-person band sound a bit bigger. And again, I set my music up, at least for this first album, that way, as if I'm performing it live. And so I make the beats and I use the pedals and at my feet to manipulate when those sounds come in and when they come out of a song. And it's pretty cool because what you see me doing with my music videos, that's basically what it sounds like when I set up my looping rig and perform the song live. I get all that sound. I have a very unique looping setup. In fact, I don't know if anyone else has a looping setup the way I have it. And so let me tell you why I have it set up the way I do, and then I'm going to show you the gear and how you can set it up similarly if you're interested. Of course, a lot of people, when they're just starting out, buy a hardware looper, such as a Boss RC 300 or something like that, which is great, and I used a hardware looper for a while, but then I began to realize some of the limitations. For instance, they typically only have one output, maybe a regular main output and then a bass, a sub output, which is cool if you're playing a small venue. But as you start to play bigger and bigger venues, you want to be able to send different kinds of signal to the front of house, whoever's mixing, so that they can actually mix. If you're just sending one signal, it's all up to you, all the loops you create, to make sure that the volumes all match very well. And so what I've created, and this is coming off of Ed Sheeran and his masterful setup, just looking at what he did, honestly, I studied it for years until I figured out how to mimic it really closely. I'm able to send 4 different loops individually as a single output to the front of house. And so when I'm basically, what that means is when I'm looping live, I can do a drum beat and I can send that by itself to the front of house or wherever I want to send it, and that can be manipulated as far as volume, effects, EQ on its own. And then I can create another loop and maybe la 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 la. That's not in any of my songs, but and that can be sent individually, in volume and effects and EQ can be done to that channel in and of itself. And I can do that with 4 different channels. And so you can actually mix very well the loops that I am creating live, which means they sound a lot better. It's not just one single source, all the loops combined going to the front of house. So the way I've done that, and I'm going to show you guys, we're going to go mobile in a second, but I've got a really cool MIDI controller. It's actually custom made from the UK, called a Sonnet pedal. You should check these guys out. They're unbelievable. They've made a pedal that looks like Ed Sheeran's massive loop pedal, the Chewie Monsta. Actually, I think it's called the Chewie Monsta 2 now. It's version 2. And then I use, so it's not a hardware looper, that's a MIDI controller, and I use a software, so I'm digital looping, called QuantiLoop. And I'll show you QuantiLoop in a second. It's unbelievable for looping. I love it. There's so much functionality. And I just connect that software on my iPad. It's like $10 to buy the software, so very cheap. And honestly, you can use any MIDI controller you want with it, but I use my Sonic pedal. So let's go mobile real quick. Let me show you the equipment I'm using. So when you're watching my music videos, you're like, okay, this makes more sense. I get it now. Okay, so here is the massive loop pedal that I use. And as you can see, it's very similar to Ed Sheeran's. It's actually labeled very nicely. It's got track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4. And basically the way I set it up is that each track is like an individual loop station on its own. So I can record rhythm here, and then I can record, you know, guitar here, vocals here, whatever I want. And then I hit mode and it goes from recording. So these are all recording, record, stop, record. When I hit this mode button, now the way I have it set it up is these are now just stop and start. So now I can stop and loop, bring in a loop however I want, or I can do 2 at once. These pedals are nice, they're huge. You don't see a lot of pedals this size, and so I can actually bring in, even if I wanted to, 3 or 4 loops at once. Then I have a stop all button, which is pretty fun, and a play all button. And so if I'm in the middle of a song, I'm gonna stop everything, I can do that, and then I can play them all at once. I've also got it set up so I can just clear an individual track, undo an individual loop, or reset. This is very similar to what Ed Sheeran's setup is. You'll notice here, you've got a screen, and so you can actually use software on a computer and go VGA into the screen here. And I'll show you. Right here's the VGA connection. And so that's one option that you have. I actually use an iPad. And so this is just an unbelievable MIDI controller. On the back, you've got, here, let me see if I can get around here. You've got all these 1/4 inch inputs/outputs. They match here. You've got MIDI. Here, let me give you a better angle here. MIDI in and out. So just really, really cool. So this is the way I do it. I basically take an audio interface, and I'll show you in a second. I'm gonna grab my iPad in a second, but I plug my iPad into my audio interface right here. And then I connect, so basically what that's doing is it's allowing audio to go into my audio interface. So I'll plug my vocals in here, my guitar here. And then what I do is I connect this via MIDI to my controller, okay? In the software I'm using now, I can basically manipulate this MIDI controller via the software that I'm using, the QuantiLoop software I'm going to show you in a second. And I know this is complex. If you've got any questions, just message me on Instagram and ask me. But it's really very simple. So you just connect your instruments into here. You connect MIDI cables between these two to connect them. And then all you do, you'll see I've got 4 outputs right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've set it up so that each output is connected to an individual loop. So that's how I send different outputs to the front of house. Now, let me grab my iPad and show you QuantiLoop real quick. And what I do for my live gigs is I just put my iPad, honestly, I just sit it right here on top. So this is QuantiLoop, really cool. So you'll see it actually looks like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's digital, okay? And so it's actually made, oops, stay up here. Okay, we're back now. It did run out of battery, so I got it plugged in and just sitting here on the couch. But yeah, as you can see, it's set up like a hardware looper. That's what it looks like. All right, it can spin whatever you want to do. And you've got your individual loops. And you can do everything with this, guys, like honestly. I mean, this is what I watch when I'm recording a loop. It looks red. When I'm done, it looks orange, and then it just plays green. And this is the mode I was talking about, switching between play mode and record mode. And all of these buttons basically are MIDI assignable, so you can assign it to anything. It's got volume, panning. As far as MIDI controllers, you can connect this to any MIDI controller, honestly. But you can set up your inputs and your outputs as far as your audio interface, so you can route your audio however you want. That's how I get one track to go specifically to one output. So like here, well, I don't have my audio interface plugged in, but I would just select, hey, I want just input 1, and then I would say I just want input 1 going to, you know, a certain output here. So just track 1 only goes to a certain place. So you can do whatever you want. You can also download plugins, and so just from here, I've just started experimenting with this. This is a drum plugin, and so I can get drum beats going here as well. It just does everything you could imagine you would want it to do. And I mean, in simple terms, basically, you know, you could push all these buttons in loop, but basically you can assign everything to a certain pedal or a certain button on a MIDI controller, and that's what this is. You can just go and you could assign it all different kinds of MIDI notes. And so anyway, that's what I do. There's one more key component I want to show you guys. The last key part of my looping setup is my guitar, and I am using a mini Martin here. This is the guitar Ed Sheeran used to use famously. I feel like he made this guitar famous. He's now moved on to a different guitar, but he used this for a while in his shows, and I found that I needed this guitar because I had a larger Martin, and when I would do like drum beats, I would get all these resonances. That's how I make a drum beat. And it would just, I don't know, you would hear like a tone on the hits, especially these hits, the bass hits. And so I didn't want that. And so I had to get a smaller guitar that didn't resonate as much, and this was the one where I could get just clean hits without any resonance, and it actually sounded like a drum. So if you guys want to know, by the way, how I loop and how I go about arranging a loop and getting sounds and different strategies for how to hit things and stuff like that, I'd love to make a video like that. Just let me know in the comments below. I could talk about looping all day. Listen, it took me years, honestly, literally years, to figure out my looping setup, to understand how all this stuff gets put together. It's not easy, but the good news is I've done it already. So if you need any help, I am your resource. Just let me know. All right, message me, SamFowler.music on Instagram. Let me guide you into getting a loop setup, you know, started. Whatever you need, I can, again, make more in-depth tech videos about all this stuff. I just don't know if people are interested in it. I wanted to make this initial video. Let me know if you're interested in learning more about QuantiLoop, the iPad software, or about my MIDI pedal, or about how I just go about looping in general. If you are, I will make those videos. If you're not, no big deal, all right? At least I did this one, give you guys a little bit of a snapshot into what I'm doing. But yeah, looping is super fun, and it's like a one-man band kind of thing, and I'm super into it. So with that being said, thanks. If anyone made it to the end of this video, you're officially like a music looping tech nerd of some sorts like me. So congrats. Thank you for making it this far. But yeah, guys, you're awesome. Thanks so much for your support. Hope to see you Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be writing songs live on camera. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys, write your story, own your journey. I'll see you next time.